and welcome to the Femme Spot. It's your girl, Essence.
Hey, it's Jasmine.
And I'm Victoria.
So, hey, guys.
Good. I'm doing great. And today, you guys, we're going to talk about addiction. So there's so many different types of addictions. You know, it goes from compulsive to like everyday different things that you could be addicted to, bad habits.
Let's define addiction.
Yeah, let's start with that.
The fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. I mean, this isn't my favorite definition because it like has the word in it. But basically, you can be addicted to anything, which is very interesting. A lot of people like that show My Strange Addiction, where people are like,
love that show.
A lot of people are addicted to crunchy things like dirt and like
a texture,
sand.
Tissue.
Yeah.
I've seen a girl who was addicted to spraying. It was like a dust spray in her mouth, and it was almost gave her a high sensation. So that's why she was addicted to it. She would literally go to like Home Depot and sit and buy those dust sprayers and spray in her mouth. Several cans a day.
Wow.
Very sad.
Wasn't there someone who was like addicted to like drinking gasoline or something like that?
Or like there's like cleaner, like household cleaner. Like this woman would like put it on her tongue and just like eat it. Like she would wait for it to like melt and eat it. I don't know how these people didn't die like immediately.
Yeah, right. Like it's like poisonous.
It's crazy.
There's this guy. I don't know if it's an addiction, but he does it also for YouTube likes. He'll eat and consume whatever. Like nails, he consumed. Yeah, like
you got a strong stomach.
A whole bottle of alcohol. Just open the bottle.
Alcohol?
Alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you could theoretically drink it.
You know, but I feel like it becomes an addiction when you like compulsively want to try
things
consuming
that shouldn't be in your body.
abnormal things all the time.
Yeah.
It becomes an addiction when it becomes a compulsive behavior that you can't control anymore.
And it's that addiction now. It's not even you're doing something ignorant or whatever foolish for social media likes, right?
Right.
Yeah. Does it become an addiction now? Putting yourself in danger for likes for social media.
I mean, well, danger in itself is kind of addicting to some people because people have like adrenaline junkies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They jump out of planes. They jump on like off of like cliffs and stuff into water. Yeah, climbing without harnesses and everything like that.
You ever see the videos where they're climbing buildings and just hanging down from them?
No, wouldn't catch me there. I'm so sorry.
So let's talk about substance and alcohol addiction. I think that's the most common type of addiction that we see every day.
Right.
I mean, it's everywhere. I'm sure viewers, you guys know or have known someone who had an addiction. It's all over the news. Tons of celebrities had addiction. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I mean, well, the first person who comes to mind when I think of like a celebrity with an addiction is Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
I know that he had a lot of substance abuse problems. He was like on the borderline of death. And he went to like a rehabilitation center, and now he's kind of like a raging, like arrogant human being. But I would prefer
very successful.
Yeah, I would prefer that than him being dead. You know?
See a lot of celebrities instead growing up and then coping with all the stress of, I guess, being in the limelight by turning to drugs. And you see, they never really actually all the way heal. You kind of see a little side of them, like they change when they become addicted to something, even if after they're off of it. Like you've seen Whitney Houston, the best of entertainers, you know, going through a drug addiction, and their spouses, and it's almost like a generational thing, and it's ongoing. That's the sad part about it.
I mean, definitely. If we're talking about generational, I mean, Lamar Odom, his father was an addict as well, and I mean, like him and his father were like close. It was like a weird situation because like his father would just always ask him for things and he would give it to him. I feel like it's because it's a father-son sort of situation where it's like you want to provide for your parent, you want to love them, you want to give them everything that you can, especially if you've made it, you know. And then the whole like crack addiction and all of that, like it's very interesting to see. Like a lot of it is very like bioengineered almost.
And besides the point of this family, which is crazy, because that's supposed to be the person you look up to closely, your parent or grandparent, whatever. Even just being in the limelight and having such a big following, and your influence to kids and children. Imagine, like we're still young, but we've seen people like child stars grow up and deal with addiction. Like, I mean, Home Alone, wasn't he addicted? I forgot his name.
Macaulay Culkin. He never said that he's gone on interviews and records that he didn't have it, but I mean, there are rumors. There's other examples too. I mean, look at Lindsay Lohan is probably the most, I guess, recognized example.
Iconic.
iconic is the word. I love Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay, you're amazing. Your hair is great. But she also was in a very, very public struggle with addiction for many years. You know, she went to rehab a bunch of times. And I think it's almost harder for someone who's famous to have to deal with that. Because at least, you know, when you're a regular person going to rehab, you have that sense of privacy. You have, like, time to heal. You don't have that when you're famous. You have someone shoving a camera in your face all the time. People selling secrets about, you know, what's going on with you. People trying to get at your friends, your inner circle. It makes you very mistrustful of people, I can imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that I was a big fan of Demi Lovato, and there was a period of time where she had to go into rehabilitation, and I remember it was because, like, she, like, punched one of her backup dancers in the face.
Iconic.
It was pretty awesome, honestly. I thought that was pretty cool.
Iconic.
Anyway, it was partially because she was addicted to cocaine.
Wow.
And then also that was because she has, like, depression and anxiety, and she also had an eating disorder. So it was like all those things together, you know what I mean? Like, because people try to self-medicate and they try to self-heal with these addictions, and it only just makes you more out of control. It's wild. It's a wild ride.
Yeah, it's sad. It's crazy. But it's good to still see people overcome it.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not put to the full, like, potential how they used to be before.
Right.
Just them giving that effort. I know that's another thing, how hard it is to even overcome it. People go back and forth and
withdrawal is nothing to joke about.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I have a close family member who's been struggling with addiction for a really long time. And, like, from the other side, being the person watching it, it's difficult. Because you want to help this person. You want to see them do well. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. It really rests on that person to make the change in their life.
People have to want to change.
Yeah, absolutely. People have to want to change, and they have to want to make the effort to change. It's not just okay, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a process.
And, you know, I always think, too, you know, it must be the worst addiction, sexual addiction. How do you actually ever get over that? Honestly, if you have that, how do you restrain yourself?
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about sexual
natural.
addiction. Sexual addiction doesn't just include banging strangers on the street. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Watching a lot of pornography, you know, engaging in like risky sex with escorts, and what it is, it's a compulsive need to have sex, and whether it stems from like you know, sexual abuse as a child, a dysfunctional family life, or even biochemical reasons with your environment. Yes. It can be a really nasty thing. And I feel like a lot of people don't take it seriously because there's that negative stigma about someone who sleeps around a lot. Like, they can't have a problem, like they're choosing to do this. But it can become so compulsive that it leads to other behaviors like rape or even pedophilia. It's been documented. Actually, there was a singer for this band from England, the Lost Prophets, Ian Watkins. Guy was a, you know, like a stereotypical rock star, raging sex fiend. Eventually, it was discovered it had gotten so bad, coupled with his drug abuse, that he was raping children.
Oh, goodness.
Like, it's intense.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so scary.
For years.
Wow.
So, I mean, sexual addiction is no joke.
Yeah.
It's treated with therapy like any other addiction. You know, I'm not sure the specifics. I've I've never suffered with it, but it's an intense thing.
What about this?
Well, let's see. So, sex addiction, you hit the nail on the head, is basically like compulsive behavior that could lead to negative situations, sexual addiction. So, it says here that sex addiction can refer to a range of behaviors that's done in access and significantly impact one's life in a negative way, obviously. But the horrible thing about that is that could be you could put someone else in danger with that. It's not just you're putting someone else in danger. Just like any other addiction, also you're hurting your family, you're hurting your friends. But sexual addiction, if it could lead to like rape.
If it's something that you have to hide, I feel like that's a clear indicator that it's not something that you should be doing.
You're putting someone else in danger where then you have to deal with the law, and sometimes things could be unjust, and you know.
I mean, forget about the law. Think about the other person's life that's at stake. That's more important than the law.
Very true.
That could be a ripple effect, definitely. Like, especially if they're young and they have to deal with this for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, I mean, it's just, it's crazy to think about that, like, people can have a sexual addiction, not only because it's like, it's sort of like, oh, they're willing themselves to do that, but it's like, it's also just like, wow, like, this is an enjoyable thing. So, I mean, how much is too much? You know what I mean? Like, how much is just hedonism and then how much is like really like they need to live and breathe this, you know? Like it's a very interesting complex because you don't really understand like how far it's supposed to go, what is too much, what is not enough, you know what I mean? Like nobody ever talk like, I guess it's like, would you say it's like a parallel to celibacy or not? You know what I mean? Like it's just a very interesting line that falls on that not many other like addictions I feel like would fall against.
Very severe. So according to the Department of Management of USDA, about 38% of men and 45% of women with sex addictions have venereal disease as a result of their behavior.
Wow. That is
and like
45% of
taking
women.
risks all the time, you know.
Because the more you go on with it, the less
you care.
Because think about it this way, you know, when you start, if you're addicted to like heroin, eventually you're gonna need more and more to get yourself high. When you're having a sex addiction, eventually just having casual sex is not gonna do it for you anymore. You go into more depraved areas where stuff like getting diseases happens.
Well, also in a survey, 70% of women said that they experienced at least one unwanted pregnancy because of their addiction.
Well, that's a dangerous game. You know what I mean?
That comes with the territory.
Yeah,
it comes with the territory of having just like sex in general. But
I feel like you have to be smart about it. You know what I mean? Like there are tons of contraceptives that are available in 2016. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of just like a lack of care or concern.
Definitely,
personally.
you should always like be safe and have safe sex. But it's like, be smart about it. But if you see you actually have an addiction, don't play on that. Go get help.
Yeah. Because I feel like people might play on that.
Too much of anything is bad, honestly. Too much of anything is bad. So if you see like you can't go without something, or you can't focus on daily life without thinking about something, then you probably have an addiction. You should check that out. Nothing should be able to control you.
Absolutely. That's like one of the things that I'm like really afraid of is something else externally controlling me. It's like it's an actual fear of mine, just because I just like being my own person. Like, I mean, speaking of things controlling you, I feel like lately in this day and age, like the internet controls everybody, whether we like to like accept it or not. But like internet addiction is very real. Because I constantly, like, in small doses, like, people are always on their phones. People are always looking at something. And it's great because you can be in touch with, like, any information that you choose. Any information that you see, any information that you want to know. Like, literally, anybody asks a question, Google it. You know? Like, it's so easily accessible. But, again, what is too much? You know what I mean? And I feel like you answered it where you're saying if you're thinking about it all the time, if you can't get away from it, if it's something that you really physically need, that's a problem.
Do you think that society builds that up in us? It's some types of addictions. For example, how our phones, people upgrade their phone every 6 months. People, that goes into finances, that goes into like taking time out of things. You might have a meeting, you're like, damn, I have to stand, I have to stand in this line. For example, the new 7 came out. The line was out down the block. The new 7 iPhone.
I feel like that's competitive. I feel like a lot of these things can overlap into being competitive. Because like people want the newest phone, they want to flex on the gram, they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to have the best camera, this, that, and whatever, and that's great and that's fine, but like know your limits. Like personally for me, like I won't always like spring for a new thing if my old thing still works. Maybe that's the way that I was raised, you know what I mean? Because my parents ride the wagon until the wheels fall off, you know, like don't fix what isn't broken, don't throw out what isn't broken. And some people just like having new things, and honestly, it's part of our culture to like new things. It's part of capitalism to like new things, to be quite honest. But I mean, I don't think that getting a new phone every time it comes out is an addiction. I just feel like it's more like, oh, I want to have a new thing because I want to be the best, you know, like I want to be the top dog. But you were gonna say more things.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think that new technology and stuff like that, the need to want, is the cause of addiction. But I do think that it doesn't help.
I agree. I mean, I feel like when people go out of their way, I suppose, to get things that not necessarily like help them. You know what I mean? Like if you're spending your rent money on a new phone, that's a problem because you're not living your life the way that you need to be living your life.
Exactly, constantly. If you're in debt, that's an addiction because there's also shop addictions.
Oh my gosh.
Shopaholics. Nah, I've
But
seen
shoplifting.
that. I've seen shoplifting. Oh gosh. But is that an addiction or something or a need?
I think it could
kind of
be
a compulsion.
yeah, because I think it could fall into the category of being an addiction because it's a
If you don't
compulsive
really
thing.
need.
Because people get a rush out of it.
Yeah, people get a rush. I mean, I used to, when I was younger, I actually used to like steal things all the time. I used to steal like little like
That you didn't even
rings
need.
and stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, like little
Yeah.
markers from like stuff, like literally things I didn't even need. And my parents always would catch me and they'd always be like, why? And I'd be like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I can't tell you. I can't explain to you. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it was also a thing that is like, if I knew that my parents would be like, you don't need that. And I'd be like, yeah, but I want it anyway. You know what I mean?
It was one of those.
Yeah, like I'm a little brat. So, but I mean, there was one time actually where I did get caught. And it literally scarred me for life. I'm not even kidding. It was like a hat that I tried to take, a couple of rings or something.
Gosh.
And so I was walking out, right, and this guy is following me, and he like comes up close to me. He's like, you need to go back into the store. And I was like, what? And he's like, don't put your hands in your pockets. You need to go back in the store. So I walk back into the store, and he brings us to like this office or something, and he sits me down, and he's like we caught you on camera, blah, blah, blah,
Okay.
And my mom had to pay like 4 times the amount of how much all of that stuff was cost.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I'm not gonna call the police on you. But like he like kind of like sort of threatened me with it. He was like, I could call the police on
They
you,
wanted
but
the
I'm
money
not.
though. They wanted the extra money.
And I felt so bad because also like my mom was very disappointed in me. You know, as somebody who like loves their family, like it really like hurt me to see that for my mom too. So I was just like, dang. And I after that, like I can't even think about it. I get nervous. Like I get really nervous because I just don't like that feeling. Like I don't want to go back to anything like that. It's crazy. I mean, there's a rush. I can agree with that, but like it's not worth it. It's really not worth it to be around people. Because also this happened to my sister too. And
Listen. Supposed to be a good influence.
I know, but it happened to my sister too, and she actually had to go to like a class for people who like steal things regularly.
Wow, serious?
Legit
Yeah.
five
For
finger.
that?
Yeah,
What do they call it?
It's like
Five-finger discount?
yeah, it was like a group. It was like a group of people who just steal things. And she was obviously the most tame person there. She like took like a shirt from Urban Outfitters, like.
But just the fact that you have like the courage to do that, she's a stealer.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I stole one thing before in my life, and it was a sour spray candy from Toys R Us when I was younger.
Wow.
So my cousin, he's always been bad since he was a little mischief child. He always got away with things, or people I guess were just used to him being bad that they ignored it. So I was like, you know what, I want to be bad. And the one time he stole the candy, I stole it behind him. It was snowing outside. We were walking back home after Toys R Us to get all these toys. My little brother was like, our cousin, he has snow in his pocket. He really did have snow in his pocket. We just would continue walking in the snow. My little brother's like, he still has snow in his pocket, but it was really the white candy bottle we both stole.
Oh my god.
After my aunt finds it, he's like, Essence has one too.
Oh,
He snitched on me.
Wow.
He snitched on me.
Disrespect.
So I kind of felt the need to sit and like go out of my character and be something that I'm not. And I see that a lot. That's how you could lead into addiction as well.
Yeah.
You're just doing something that's not even your character.
Because you want to be different. You want to be.
One time it only takes to
It's
get addicted
crazy.
to something.
Let's talk about food addiction also, like binge eating.
I'm a foodie.
I mean, we all love to eat here on the show. We all love to eat a
Yeah.
lot. Let me say it one more time. We love to eat.
We all love it.
Okay,
But
so
food addiction is no joke.
what characterizes that?
Characterizes is it's like most of it, it's just a compulsive need to keep eating and to keep eating. Whenever you're feeling emotional, you rely on food. You know, like I said, you have to look at it in terms like, you know, an alcoholic wants to drink all the time. Someone who's addicted to food wants to eat all the time or binge eats.
And these are
It's
often
incredibly unhealthy, right? It's often associated with eating disorders. It is an eating disorder, actually.
It's often also affected by your emotional state, as you said.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, I want to eat just because I want to eat. It's like, I want to eat because I want to feel better, because I
Right.
find solace in food, because I find comfort in it, you know? And that's sometimes based on your environment. That's sometimes based on, like, your family and, like, how they raised you, and also, like, how they react to you, you know, like, their temperament. Like, if your parents are mad at you, and then they're like, here, I'm sorry, have a plate of food. like that could lead to a dependency on food. You know what I mean? It's not only like just eating, but it's like an addiction because it's a dependency.
Kind of being like an enabler.
Yeah.
Well, on the lighter side, I'm a foodie. And I'm not really, sometimes it does become a mental thing where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to eat and just forget about everything. But most of the time, it's just that me following a whole bunch of food blogs and looking at pictures when I'm hungry of food and videos of food. And sometimes my dad would catch me like, why are you doing that to yourself? And one of my friends actually told me that when you look at food like that, or you think about food, you keep thinking about it, you get calories.
Honestly, I don't think that's
you know what?
a lie.
She said it's something like it leads some type of, I don't know.
I think it's just because you're more likely to eat because you're more like your mouth will water and you're like, wow, I'm hungry. You know what I mean? Like my sister always has the Food Network on, or like the Home Shopping Network, or not the Home Shopping Network, like the design
HGTV?
Yeah, like always on. And it's like, what is she always doing? She's either always eating or she's always designing her apartment. Like, and I'm like, wow, you are what you consume. You know what I mean?
I don't know, should I start my own food blog? Because I'm literally always looking at pictures of
if
food.
you have, like, if you eat interesting food, I would go through that.
I actually did, but I don't have followers, so whatever.
Well, back to the addiction aspect of food. It goes along. A lot of people with eating disorders actually binge eat, like bulimia. I believe is characterized by binge eating and then purging and throw up. But what's funny about all the addictions that we're talking about today is that they often interlap with each other.
Yeah.
Like someone who has bulimia, for example, may also have a drug addiction to help with keeping the food out or keeping the food down.
Interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Or someone who has a sex addiction may have an alcohol problem as well. A lot of these things overlap with each other.
I mean, and that's like a really big important thing to think, because I mean, you can obviously, if you see one sign, maybe another one isn't far off. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like, you just have to be aware of people, and you have to make sure that like you're seeing them for who they are and what they're doing, not just like what you want to see in them, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's the hardest part about dealing with it.
Yeah.
Did we mention social media addiction?
We did touch upon that a little bit when it goes hand in hand with internet addiction.
Well, there's things that you could do to, obviously, we should talk about the positive side, keep track of your addiction. So thinking about change to keep track of it, to know how much you're using it. Sometimes people need to like kind of not go cold turkey, especially if you're on drugs or,
Yeah, you have to wean yourself off of everything.
Or go to a detox center so you can be supervised and they can help you the right way.
Exactly. Absolutely. And some insurance obviously probably covers it when people go to rehabs. So you can also list the pros and cons of quitting.
Okay.
So I guess get you thinking positively about your situation. Because some people, you know how when you feel like depressed, or if you feel like discouraged, and it's like whatever, nothing's ever going to change. You don't. Some people don't really see the big picture, and so they just continue their old ways.
And I feel like if you don't I feel like another way to sort of like curb your addiction, I suppose, or like wean your way off of it, is to find other mediums of interest. You know what I mean? Because if you have,
keep yourself busy.
Yeah, keep yourself busy, and also if you have friends that like you guys go out and you guys do the same things, and there are negative activities that you guys are engaging in, you need to find other people who are not going to be around that. And I mean, that's actually one of the cardinal rules of like a drug abuse, is that you can't really be friends with people in your program.
No, you're not supposed to interact with them. Like when you go to NA, if you see someone outside the program, you're not really supposed to acknowledge them. Maybe you're not supposed to go up and say hi. Just maybe acknowledge them.
Yeah. It's like almost like when you you already have a common ground with them.
It's a very private thing. Yeah. And not everybody knows, that they suffer with that.
Well.
Do we have a mystery topic for
mystery
today?
topic.
The mystery topic is, where does someone get help for their addiction?
Well, that's a great question. Well, a great mystery question. There's a ton of places you can go to help. You can go to a rehab center. You can go to your local hospital to detox. I mean, I've heard of people doing all different types of it. Like, I feel like when people think of rehab, they think of like this really scary hospital-like setting.
Almost like a jail.
Yeah, almost like a jail. And there are some rehabs that are like that, but there are some that are a little bit more comfortable. There's some holistic healing places where people don't use any medication. I've heard of people even locking themselves away, like in the middle of the woods for a week or so to get over it. There's always help. There's always resources available. Go on the internet.
And just be truthful with yourself.
truthful.
Also, like if you go to a hospital and you're saying like I need help, but you're not telling them what you need help with, they can't give you the right places to go or the right things to do. So you always have to be honest with yourself. If you're not ready to be honest with yourself, that's because you still want to be part of this addiction, that you still want to be like in this negative like headspace. And I mean, that's not necessarily fine, but everybody needs that like breaking point where they're like, listen, I don't want to do this anymore.
I mean, and also the first thing you do is do your own research on what you're addicted to.
Right.
And people who are going through the same thing. There's a lot of chat rooms that you can go into to talk to people who have an addiction just like you or any other problem that you're going through. And then you look up the rehab facility that's near you, and they're all over in different locations.
Often addiction counselors are former addicts who decide to like work for the company that have rehabilitated them. And I find that so beautiful because they know exactly where you are. They know exactly how far you can go because they're there. You know what I mean?
You find what works for you.
Yeah.
But there's not one treatment works for everyone.
Exactly. I feel like that's important to emphasize.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Also-
sometimes it takes more than one attempt
Yeah.
to get clean.
But
It's very difficult.
yeah, you have to keep at it, you know? It's like, because ultimately an addiction is a habit, you know? And typically habits, to break a habit or make a habit, it takes 28 days. But I feel like for addictive habits, that's obviously a little bit less. Or, I mean, a little bit more, considerably more.
Well, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you for tuning in. And if you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out and get help.
We definitely believe in you. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in.
Believe in yourself.
Bye, guys.
Bye.